Hello everybody and welcome to our new lesson, which is education. It's gonna be in chapter 13 section 1. In this lesson we're gonna discuss different perspectives about the educational process. Of course يا أولاد, while talking about education we mean, of course, education is the transmission of knowledge from one generation to another, and we are mainly concerned with children. So the children must acquire the knowledge, skills, and behavior patterns and values necessary to become functioning members of the society. The education will be the rules and norms that ensure the transmission of knowledge, values, and patterns of behavior from one generation to the next. This is gonna be the formal definition of education. In the pre-industrial societies at the beginning, the educational process was mainly informal. Of course, the family members teach their children the norms and values of their society. So the family members teach the children the norms and values of their society, as well as certain basic skills for their survival, like cooking, pottery making, food gathering, hunting, and even fishing. Type. Of course, this was for the pre-industrial societies. In more complex societies, the process of education will be more complex a little bit. Of course, they need a system. They need a formally established organization for this process, which leads to the schooling system. So the schooling system is a formal education which involves instruction by specially trained teachers who follow officially recognized policies. In our lesson, we're gonna discuss three main perspectives about education. We're gonna discuss the functionalist point of view, the conflict, and the interactionist. Shortly talking, we can say that the functionalist perspective will look on the way how the educational process aids or helps the society in order to run smoothly, while the conflict perspective studies the ways in which education maintains the imbalance of power in society. Of course, talking about power, I mean the struggle or the inequalities between the social classes. And on the other hand, the interactionist perspective will try to grab some attention to the face-to-face interaction in the classroom. Of course, by this interaction, I mean the interaction between the students and teachers. So let's start with the functionalist perspective. The first perspective we're going to discuss will be the functionalist. Of course, the basic function of education is to teach the children the knowledge and skills they will need in their lives. So the schools fulfill this function through a core curriculum or a group of subjects they will need in their life. In addition to that, of course, education serves to generate new knowledge. All societies must be able to adapt to changing conditions. Education makes this possible by providing the means through which individuals can develop approaches and solutions to new problems, like using some modern techniques, like, for example, the critical thinking and the problem solving techniques. Of course, for societies to survive, they must pass on core values of their culture. Of course, the core values. Some of the core values maybe like responsibility, respect for the others, differences and rights. After families, of course, schools are the most important mean through which the children will learn something about the social norms, values, and beliefs. Of course, the political system, it's not يعني, it's not the responsibility of the family. Like for example, some values like the loyalty, the patriotism. Of course, it's not the responsibility of the family. It's gonna be the responsibility for the school. Of course, يعني مثلا to teach young school children something about their flag, their national anthem, for example. Of course, they will not salute the flag within their families. This must be done in a formal way and it must be done in school. Of course, يعني مثلا regardless of the meaning, I'm talking here about the young school children. يعني مثلا there is no need to know the meaning of every single word in the national anthem. But while hearing a national anthem, for example, there will be some techniques like standing up, for example, while hearing the national anthem, to give them a sense of pride, to know their flag later on during their life, and of course, due the core subjects of the or the core curriculum of the school, they will enhance this feeling by studying history, for example, to know something about their countries. Of course, this process will enhance the feeling of loyalty and patriotism to the children. Regarding the social integration, the education serves to produce a society of individuals who share a common national identity. Of course, yani it's a problem nowadays because most of the modern societies consist of number of different religious, ethnic, and racial groups. So, يعني مثلا talking about the states, they had a point of view over there in order to create the American culture. Of course, there was nothing called an American country before. So they simply invited all of the people from all around the world to come to their second home country, for example, or look for a second chance, the country of the second chance, as they used to call it. So over there, the American society consists of different ethnic, religious groups. طيب, of course, يعني suppose the school system over there will try to provide a system or try to invent a system in order to melt these different backgrounds together, and they had their point of view of the melting pot in order to produce a gigantic culture or a melting culture. So they try to establish it over there, but I think yani modern studies had said that the American culture is not related to the melting pot theory anymore, but it's something like a mosaic. The mosaic, by the way, is a picture formed by putting together many small pieces of tile. Each one of these tiles is separate and distinct from the others, but together they are forming a larger pictures. So schools in the States simply teach a curriculum designed to help students understand how the racial and ethnic backgrounds contribute to a richer American culture. The occupational placement. All the societies must have some system of differentiating between young students in order to assess them, in order to sort them according to their level from their point of view. So the schools in the states identify the students who show special talents and abilities at an early age. Then simply the schools will take them, let them pass grade levels or their past the school years so they can jump because of their intelligence, for example. They can simply pass the school years. The schools in the industrialized countries identify students who show special talents and abilities at an early age. And I have another example here which is related to Japan. Of course, young students are admitted into universities only if they pass the entrance examination, or they have a special term, it's called the examination war. Students who wanna continue their studies, their university studies, must pass the entrance examination. And of course, in order to pass this examination, there is a lot of studying. And these subjects are not related, are different than the school subjects. So it's gonna take a lot of time and a lot of effort for them over there to enter a college. And of course, according to his score, he can simply enter one of the top universities over there. And by the way, and it's not related to the examination or the entrance exam only, but of course, yani, they have to write down essays and also the grade point average. They must pass an interview and so on. But then the most of the effort will be in the entrance exam. This for the functionalist perspective on the educational process. Let's see the second one, which is the conflict perspective. Education. طيب يعني before the conflict, let's summarize, or as a reminder. يعني مثلا the functionalists believe that the educational system functions to maintain the stability and the smooth operation of the society. Here the conflict, from their own point of view, they say that the education serves to sort students into social ranks and to limit the potential of certain individuals and groups to gain power and social rewards. And of course, this leads to the social inequality. Or they have a certain term here that is called the social control. What's the social control? For the social control, we have said that for the functionalist perspective in the previous slide, that the school system will simply try to pass some kind of core values or a common set of values from a generation to another. While here, in the conflict perspectives, the schools will try to produce unquestioning citizens who accept the basic inequalities of the social system without being aware of it. It's hidden within their core subject. And here comes the term, the hidden curriculum. The hidden curriculum is simply the school's transmission of culture goals that are not openly acknowledged. Yani you cannot see within a school subject there is a term called differences between social classes, but I'm gonna hide this item in one of the core subjects. For tracking, yani in the previous slide, the functionalists, they simply saw tracking as a way to fulfill the occupational placement function of education, while here, in the conflict perspective, they simply view tracking as a way by which the wealthy and the powerful members of the society maintain their position. مثلا for example uh, they simply classified or sort يعني they sorted the students to they will try to sort the students to different categories or to different classes: lower achievers, higher achievers, and the middle ones. يعني the conflict, sociologists believe that the type of instruction students receive in the different tracks is simply designed to shape their behavior to set their future occupations. And for example, students in the higher tracks learn creativity, independence, and self-motivation skills. Of course, these skills are يعني مثلا they gonna need it for managerial and for professional jobs. While on the other hand, students in the lower tracks are simply learn to work under supervision, to follow a specific routine, and to obey instructions. And of course, these skills they simply needed for the lower paying jobs. Education and the socioeconomic status, and what's the relationship between both of them. Of course, the socioeconomic status is simply your social standing, to which social class you belong. And of course, there is a strong relationship between both of them. From a conflict perspective, they said, for example, that the higher status families tend to say that their children will simply succeed at school. Succeed at school means to succeed outside the school. So simply they will encourage their children to be successful students or to be high achievers in schools. While on the other hand, lower status families are less likely to hold these beliefs about the school. So they simply stress on the value of getting a good job or a well-paying job rather than higher educational level. So this was for the conflict perspective on education, and our last perspective will be the interactionist one. Of course, يعني from its name, the interaction between everyone involved in the educational process, and by everyone I mean students and teachers. Here is the educational process: student and a teacher. So sociology or the interactionist theorist had simply classified this interaction to two groups: student-teacher interaction and interactions among the students themselves. When teacher treats students as if they are bright and capable, the students begin to think of themselves in this way. When teachers expect students to do poorly, the students come to think of themselves as inferior, and unfortunately, it will turn to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. For example, if you have a baby sister or a baby brother at home, if you're gonna tell him for every single instant or he has made, for example, you will say that you are bad or you are naughty. So step by step, he will try to accept the idea of being naughty or the idea of being bad. So no problem, I'm bad. So it's gonna be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Self-fulfilling prophecy is simply a prediction that leads to behavior that makes the prediction comes true. So on the other side, it will be the interaction among the students themselves. Peer pressure. And peer pressure is simply an important term. The peer pressure influences the students' achievement motivation. The students may be encouraged or discouraged to study and work for good grades because simply they want to be a part of the group. They want to enter a particular social group. So by entering this group you must pass يعني مثلا they had some kind like our lesson of groups. You must pass some kind of boundaries in order to enter this group, and one of these boundaries will be your academic level.